All right, fellas. Here we are. It's draft day. Tell me what you want. I know I'm not watching the movie today. I don't think so. I don't think I am at least, but they talked about it enough on KNR. Um, let's just start with your predictions. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think Tua's going early, late? Tell me what you think. Get it started, Mason.
Well, I'm telling you, the more you read, the more confused you are, and I think that's the plan for most teams. I was watching some things this morning that had him going three, and then I had some that said he's going to slip out to number 17 or 19. So,
Mhm.
as far as Tua goes, I still think he's going top five, um, or I should say top six. Um, I, I do believe that Herbert will get drafted in front of him. Um, I I we talked about smoke screens and stuff like that. I always think about those guys that no one really is talking about, and I don't hear a lot of buzz on those two defensive tackles. I think they're going to go way higher than everyone thinks. I believe Cleveland's going to have at 10. I think there's going to be at least two and maybe even three of those offensive linemen available. But I think they're trading down. I just think the analytics says that that's what you do, and um, I believe that with that first pick in the first round, I think they're trading down tonight. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to trade back in and end up with two first round picks tonight.
All right, D, what do you think?
Um, Basically what Mace said. I mean, it's you get really confused when you look at all the mock drafts and you hear all the reports and everything. But I looked at six mock drafts, and in three of them, it had us taking Andrew Thomas, with that first pick. But then I saw two trades, one with the Eagles and one with the Broncos. So, I mean, I could see both. Honestly, I do think they're going to trade down. Something that nobody talked about, and maybe this is ridiculous, but I could see Tua, if he slips, I mean, maybe somebody might want to get him at 10, so maybe somebody's going to make a trade to get him at 10. Who knows? But I see us taking an offensive lineman with that pick, even if we trade down. I see us taking Becton possibly if we trade down, and I really don't think you're going to be hurting if you do that. I did see one mock draft that had us taking Isaiah Simmons with that number 10 pick, but I don't know about that. But I did hear today that Kuiper said that he's the only for sure in round one in his eyes. So, or past, like Burrow and Chase Young. So, who knows?
Danny, what do you think?
So I had a couple, I guess, just predictions that I think are going to happen. I mean, I think an easy one is I don't think the Lions pick at 3. I think they trade that. I think 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. I think somebody trades back up in 31 or 32, and somebody's in love with the Eason kid or the Fromm kid or the Hertz kid. Kind of like if you look at the last couple drafts, somebody at 31 or 32, I said the last 10 years of drafts, somebody at 31 or 32 tries to jump up there and grab one of those guys. I don't think any running backs will be taken in the first round. I don't know how much of a reach that is. And I think more than 16 picks will be from the SEC.
All right. All right. I guess with the Browns, I'm looking at it. It all depends on this Trent Williams smoke screen or whatever happens. If you get him, you trade for him, then I think it opens up possibilities to do other things that they maybe want to do.
I don't want to interrupt you, but if they're trading for him, what do the quote unquote experts say they're giving up for him? Is it their 10th or no?
No.
Okay.
Like I've heard third round.
Okay.
Yeah. But my big thing is I'm thinking, well, if you get him, then I think it just opens up a lot of possibilities for the team. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I was talking to the Prophet, and I just don't know. I watched the Browns last year, and hey, once Myles Garrett went out, that defense they were pretty anemic. I mean, there wasn't a playmaker really over there. I mean, I know you still had Ward at a corner, but they need some help. Like, they got to be able to stop people. I know everybody's focusing on offense, but that wasn't a shutdown defense, and you're going to have to be able to stop somebody. I mean,
No, I agree with you, Keith. I think for the Browns, it's interesting because I think there are several positions you can eliminate that they won't take. I don't think they're going to take, a quarterback, but I'll be the guy, the first one that says that Tua slips to him and they take him and try to trade Baker and something stupid. But I don't think that they're taking a quarterback. They're not taking a running back. I don't think they're going to take a linebacker. Obviously, I don't think they're going to take a corner in the first round. So really, that leaves a couple spots. And I didn't say wide receiver because I still think there's a need there. So if they're in love,
okay, what's your need at wideout? Tell me that.
I've
heard that all week.
It's a young, healthy number 3 right now. I don't think they have a number 3. Now, I don't say you take a first-round pick on that, but if you got a guy that you think is going to be an all-pro at some point, I don't want them to take one in the first round. I think they'll take one in the first 3 rounds. But I would like to see them take somebody that's 6'4", because I think they got the market surrounded on the 6 foot, 6'1", slotty, quick type guys. I think they need to be more physical out there. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go D tackle. I don't think there's a D end other than Chase Young that you take at that spot. But they have some avenues. I just think they have to come out of this draft with a guy that they think could start at left tackle, because they don't have one on the roster right now.
No, I agree there. Like I said, and that's why I think I'm not saying the trade's going to happen, but that's why I give it a little bit of credence, just because I'm thinking that you got to have somebody. And if you come out of this with, oh man, what Williams, and what's the guy they just got from Tennessee?
Conklin.
Yeah, I mean, if those are your tackles, that's an upgrade over what you had last year. So it's you can see what happens. Danny, do the Steelers even have? Do they have a first round pick?
Yeah, they took Minka Fitzpatrick.
That's right. That's right, for the trade.
No, I think they need. Like, it's funny. I wrote that down. In the second round, I don't think they will. I want them to draft the best offensive lineman available. Their offensive line is getting old. I mean, I don't care if you're going to draft a guard. I don't care if you draft a tackle. But you got to start addressing that. And then if it were me in the next, they have a third and they have 2 fourths, I would take 3 skill guys on the offensive side of the ball. I don't care if it's running back, 2 receivers, a tight end you like. I think defensively, I mean, you're going to just need a couple backups to plug in. I mean, defensively, they're solid. I mean, they really are. I mean, if they get injuries, they're going to be hurting. But, I mean, their starting defense next year should be pretty stinking good.
D, what do you think about and I know we haven't seen Stefanski's offense yet, but when I see things like I watched the Vikings last year, you think of 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how open it's going to be. That's why you're going to have a fullback, which we haven't had in a long time. I don't know. You tell me, what do you think?
I just feel that middle is going to be, we're going to be wide open. I'm not wide open, but the middle is going to be huge for us. We need a tight end who can catch the ball. Hopefully we got that now, a couple of them. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I can't remember when was the last time we had a fullback? How do you know? Mike Sellers? Who knows? But I don't know. It's a hard question to answer. I think it's going to be more dump, bomb, a little bit more than what we've seen in the past. So who knows?
All right. Well, tell me this. I'll have you all answer and jump in on this one. What do you think, with the lack of one-on-one meetings and, having to do things over internet and even like a personal meeting, like, they're not going out to eat with these guys. They're not sitting across from them. And I mean, that's really tough to kind of get a feel for somebody when you're doing it over a video chat or whatever. Do you think there's going to be more hits or more misses this year? Or do you think it's just going to be basically the same as it always is?
It's funny. I watched that movie, and I know it's a baseball movie, but I watched that movie, Trouble with the Curve.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't seen the movie, it's a Clint Eastwood movie where it's basically old school versus new school. And old school says, I can listen to a guy pitch and know whether he's going to be any good. I've been doing this for 100 years. That new school is that analytics part of it. And I think this old school piece of it is where we're at. But, if you've been watching, ESPN's had darn near every draft on for about the last 40 years. And I just watched the 2005 draft, I believe. And, that was kind of before all the analytics and all that stuff. And there are a lot of big name guys that went in that draft, and none of them were any good. So, I mean, I think that, obviously watching the game tape is going to be the most important thing. But if that was the most important thing, then Vince Young should be an All-Pro. You look at some of those guys. Matt Leinart should be All-Pro, and because the game tape looked pretty darn good for them coming out of college. But that doesn't always work. I worry about the guys that because I think in those interviews you can tell a lot whether someone's going to be able to grasp an offense. And are they going to be able to go up there and do those things? You can put them on that, the grease board and all that stuff. And without being able to do that, that worries me a little bit. That's why I think some guys might slide. You start looking at those Wonderlic scores and things like that. That might be a reason why somebody slides too.
What do you think, Derek?
I wrote the same thing that Mason just said down. It's going to be interesting to see if I want to hear exactly what they're going off of tonight. Like, is it mostly game film? What is it? You could talk to coaches, but coaches are going to tell you what you want to hear, to get their guy. But I honestly have no clue. The analytics part being thrown out the window, and the fact that the Browns are an analytic team now. You watch, we'll probably have the best draft we've ever had. Because in the past, it just hasn't worked out for the Brownies. But overall, I see some guys slipping. I really do. And I see some guys surprising people in later rounds, end up being some studs that weren't expected.
Dan, what about you, man?
Well, it's interesting you talked about watching the drafts, Mace, because I watched the 2014 draft last night. I literally turned it on when the Browns drafted Manziel, and I kind of went through that draft. And then if you look at, I think 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019 are hard to tell. But like you keep talking about the analytics part, and I was listening to can't remember who was on NFL Network the other day, and he's like a half analytics guy, half old school guy, and he said the one thing people, and you guys will know this better than I do, the one thing people never take into account, and it's so, and he thinks it's a huge deal, is the different hash marks between college and pro. Because so when you referenced Vince Young, like that popped into my head, how he was talking about how some people look so much faster in college, even when they're playing against top level athletes, because it has to do with the hash marks. I don't know how true that is. Have you guys ever heard that before?
I haven't, but
Okay. But that was interesting. I kind of thought like just a couple of things. I think other than Judy, I think all the first round wide receivers could possibly end up being busts. I think when we look back in 4 years, again, this is just me off the cuff. I think that the second guys in the second round will probably end up being better than the guys in the first round.
Like overall,
talk about that. I'd like to. Once you're done with this, I would love to talk about who we think are the potential busts in this draft.
Yeah, and we will. That'll be our second part. We'll absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Then, what else did I? Oh, and I just think and most drafts. I mean, what are you thinking? Out of the 32 picks, you probably have what? 4 to 6 guys who are, I don't want to say superstars, but stars when it's all said and done. And then you may have 6 to 8 that are, role average players. And then you could have anywhere between, 8 to 10 guys who in 3 years won't be in the league.
No, I mean I'm sure you're
So I
right
don't.
on your
So I don't know.
numbers.
I don't know
I'm
how
sure
much.
you're
Go ahead. I'm
close.
sorry.
No, I'm sure you're close. What you're saying and what you're thinking. I think the big thing is it's gonna be a little tougher. I agree with like Mason when I think when you sit across from somebody, and I mean I know some people can kind of pull the wool over your eyes, but I think there's a lot to say when you sit across from somebody at a table and you have a face-to-face conversation with them. I just think you get a feeling. I mean, and I know that's not an analytics thing, but I just think you get a feeling in your gut and you kind of go, is this the guy I want to pay X number of $1 million to? Is he a guy who's going to be a good locker room guy? Is he going to do the things we're asking him to do? When you don't have those things happening, I think it could be a little more dangerous. But I think you're going to see. I will be interested to see like what teams kind of hit and what teams kind of miss. And is it just luck? Is it just luck or is it skill? I don't know. And I think about what Dan said the other day. Really sticks with me is I think about teams who know what they're looking for and know what they're doing. If you already have a set system and you know what you're looking for, I just think those teams, they don't miss as often because they know exactly what they're looking for. Even when they're breaking down film, they know exactly what they're looking for. And I think other people, I think they can get enamored with a lot of things that don't carry over. But I just think when you have constant turnover, it makes it really, really hard for you to have solid draft picks.
I
But
agree.
we'll see.
It's interesting. Nathan Zagura this morning, I was listening to him. He said, I can't remember what draft he said, but he said that the Browns were 100% sold on a player. Brought him in for a second interview, and after the second interview, every person that had decided he was the guy took him off the draft board.
Oh wow.
So I mean, I don't know who that was, and maybe he turned out to be a star. I don't know, but I think those interviews are important, Keith. So I just hope they get it right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's tough. I mean, we all sit around in our jobs and we have to look kids in the eye, and after years of doing it, you kind of get a feeling for who's feeding you a line of bull and who's kind of okay, they're legit, and that's not something I can tell a first year person like they can just do. They don't know it, and until you experience it a little while, then you kind of get a feel for it. So it might be one of those things where you just get that feeling. I don't know.
Kind of a different caveat with this is the actual style that is going to occur with the draft itself, I think is going to have a huge effect on how the draft is run. I think we're going to see, now I could be wrong, I think we're going to see less trades. I really do, just because of technology. I mean, we got 4 of us here right now, and how many times do we talk over one another? You know what I mean? Like, I see a lot of teams like sticking to their boards, having these conversations before the draft occurs, and just sticking to their boards. And I don't know. I mean, with that, I think you're going to see some busts, some big time busts, just because of that. I mean, because it's different talking like this than if the 4 of us were sitting in the coach's office, sitting looking each other in the eye, drawing stuff up on the board, hearing that this guy just got drafted. Well, okay, does that change what we're going to do? You know what I mean? It's different. And I just think that's going to have a big impact on this draft.
That's a great point.
Dan, I'll give you last word. Go ahead.
No, I think what D said is a great point. I hadn't really thought about that. To talk about what you were thinking about, like the sit down interview, I think of, I always think of the combine guy. Like, so you're looking at the tackles, and that Mason has said it. I don't know if he said it on here or if he said it on the phone. That left tackle in Georgia, I don't know how that guy is not the number 1 tackle on the board, just because, I mean, he played in the SEC against guys who he's going to be playing against on Sunday, and he was All-American twice. You know what I mean? And then you have the kid from Iowa who runs a 4.85 and, bench presses whatever he bench presses. Not to say that he didn't play good guys, but so, yeah, I don't know. I agree with everything you guys were saying as far as it will definitely be different. And I think what D's point was perfect. It'll be very difficult for trades to happen, I think, because you're all going to be on a Zoom meeting. And I think absolutely stay with the board more.
All right, man. We're gonna wrap up this session, and then we'll talk about some draft bust or who we think are going to be busts. So
A good point, D. I didn't even think about that. I mean,
Yeah.
I know they've been talking about it, but like you're right. I mean, if you don't get to the point, if you're taking a guy and this is a guy you want and you draft him before me, I just think